want to welcome everybody that came to the Hollywood, obviously the Broward County PBA Hall. As you're aware, 2 years ago, I believe it was the week of Thanksgiving, after Sheriff Israel was elected, he came here to the PBA Hall. We had a packed house, answered a bunch of questions, and they shot from the audience, and it was a very good turnout. So the turnout being very light tonight, I would say is some indication that either A, it's cold outside, which it is, or people for the most part are fairly content or getting their questions answered either through Debbie Reggio or Lee Martin. So they're both here tonight. I know we had discussed it, and we wanted to announce tonight that right after the first of the year, the sheriff has agreed to sit down and start the collective bargaining process. So we'll do what we did in the past with the reps and the people on the board to go ahead and start the survey process. I mean, even look at some of the questions they have to do with collective bargaining. So those would be something that if it does prevail in the survey and it's something that we can go ahead and try to collectively bargain for, we will clearly do so. But anyway, all four of the questions that I have here were something that we did cover in the rep meeting. We met several times, basically for the August 26th primary and then for the November 4th election. And the BSO deputies participated heavily in those. But you know, Coventry Insurance was a.
Can I just make a quick introduction before, and then we'll take. Can I just make a quick introduction before?
Sure. Sure.
Thank you, Jeff. First, I want to say good evening. Thanks for everyone coming out. I know a lot of the deputies are going to get to watch this in briefings and what have you, so that's good. My relationship with the PBA has been phenomenal. I appreciate the the seamless transition and the respect that you've given to me, and the rapport has been great. I want to thank Debbie and Lee. Our folks, for being honest and upfront. We got a great relationship. Jeff and Rod couldn't be better, so I appreciate the constant communication. We talk regularly. We talk 2 or 3 times a week. We don't allow spaghetti to turn into confetti, and I think that's what makes the relationship so successful. In case questions come up tonight that I can't answer, and rather than if I can't answer them and I need to go back and research them and get answers to Jeff, I will do that. But I do have the undersheriff with me tonight, Colonel Kinsey. I have Colonel Dale from Professional Standards and Ron Gunsberger, our Chief General Counsel, here tonight in case maybe they can answer questions now. And as soon as he finishes that hot dog, my colonel's coming up to the front too, Colonel Pollock. I want a Colonel Pollock from DLE here today. He deals with most of the issues, and he's the main guy that starts the communication upward and back and forth. So I appreciate that. Any questions? Let's go.
Yeah, well, just on that note, Julio Gonzalez, our general counsel, is here. He has an incredible relationship with Colonel Dale as far as discipline goes, AAB boards, and resolution of some of the issues that revolve around discipline. Colonel Dale's always accessible. So is Colonel Kinsey. Colonel Pollock, who is has been with the agency for a long, long time, has always been accessible and has never wavered as far as supporting the troops and being accessible. Even in other administrations, he's always been there for us. I do thank you very much, Colonel Pollock. But we do appreciate what your staff has done with Major Cedeno as well, Poland. I mean, the list goes on as far as accessibility and then working with your staff. Really, you have a great team. As far as Coventry Insurance, that's a lot of the questions have to do with that. There was a rumor that that you all signed a 5-year deal with them. So could you address that? And we've also had issues with doctors leaving because Coventry hasn't been paying them timely. And then also the clinic. So the clinic, 5-year deal, and doctors leaving or going to another provider.
We chose Coventry because Coventry came in millions and millions of dollars less than the other providers. everybody reads the papers. You all know health insurance is skyrocketing. We got some not so good news today, actually, that one of our consultants, if you will, said that we could expect a $5 to $6 million increase in health insurance. It's just the going rate. The cities that we contract with for law enforcement, they're well aware of this, and that's why we chose Coventry. We think Coventry's done a really, really good job. We signed a one-year contract with Coventry, and I guess, what's that?
The 1 year can be renewed,
right,
if we so choose, but again, if the rates aren't good, if we have issues, we do not have to renew.
Right. What was it of, you want to know about the clinic? The clinic, yeah. The clinic, it hopefully could be maybe 5 to 6 months off. The clinic is going to happen. We're looking at properties now. It's going to be in an off-site facility in central Broward County, so it's easily located for your families, your children, your wives, your girlfriends, your husbands, partners. So we want to make sure that the clinic is accessible and you're going to use it. We think there's a lot of money to be saved that way. The doctors leaving, I have no personal knowledge of that. I can't sit here and tell you that we haven't had any complaints, or people are not, people haven't said, Coventry's not doing this or not doing that, because that has happened. But conversely, I got to say, I don't know if there's anybody here or coming, but a lot of compliments on Coventry too, and I'm being very serious about that. My yes is a yes and my no is a no. So I think Coventry's probably like any other provider or any other business or any other conglomerate you deal with, that depending on that situation, there are a lot of positives about Coventry, and it's not perfect, and we're not saying it's perfect, but as I said, they came in millions of dollars below the other folks the other companies that had placed in to be considered as vendors.
Are the current lieutenant and sergeant's essay tests being graded in-house or by an outside vendor? You know that?
Outside, it's outside consultants grading. The lieutenant?
Outside vendor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then
well, let me expound upon that a little bit. This is the first test that was given during my administration as sheriff. When I came in January of 2013, the test had just been given. And I remember many men and women on the sergeant's test and lieutenant's test were coming to me and said, are you going to do your own test? Are you going to do your own test? And I felt that would have been grossly unfair. There are two sides to every issue, of course, but I felt that would have been grossly unfair have men and women studied all those months and put all that time and effort into the test just to take the test and discard it. So we went forward for the test. We've got some good promotions off that test. We did the test differently this time. I wanted to isolate leadership. That's what I'm looking to do. Who are the best leaders? And those are the people I want to ascend to those positions: sergeants, lieutenants, captains. And I think if I've done anything right as a strong leader, it's built a team of professionals from top to bottom of people who are compassionate, strong leaders. And I think you see a difference in the leadership here. You see a difference in the way people are treated and the way discipline's handled. But I wanted this test. I felt, it's the first test. Let it be graded by the outside so nobody could say there's any inside influence. We'll certainly discuss with the PBA as we do the next test 2 years from now. But this test, we gave the written. The written was 40%. An essay 20%, and then an assessment center or an oral interview 40%. There's no perfect test. There's no perfect way. For those of you who are baseball fans, you look at how the all-star teams are selected. They write after the all-star teams are selected, the reporters write for 3 days which one was the most egregious error. It becomes a beauty contest after a while. There's no perfect way to do a test. We did the best we could, and we think we're going to get the best candidates, and we'll go forward with that.
Thank you. Would you consider, this is a collective bargaining issue, but would you consider increasing the CI initiative pay to match the FTO incentive pay?
as you said, it's a bargaining issue. It's something we talk about at bargaining time. I not really prepared, or I haven't even discussed with my staff. But there's also, I think there's you could call it a rumor, and I'll address rumors because those could be organizational viruses as well, as you all know. But there has been a rumor that I plan on making detective a rank. So it would be you would be a deputy, and then your first promotion would be detective, and then it would be treated like sergeant, lieutenant, or anything else. It would be a bargaining unit rank, and then you couldn't be moved out of that rank without cause, or just like a sergeant or a lieutenant. I mean, obviously everything is open for bargaining, but absent of that being up in bargaining, that's just a rumor, and it's never been on my radar. I've never discussed it. I have no intentions of doing it.
Just one other follow-up on, and I don't know if you can even answer this, maybe Ron can, but are we going to be offered more than one health insurance company in the future, another vendor?
We explored it. I'll be candid with you. We found out actually to do that would actually increase the price, because each company then presumes they'll get a smaller pool, and then they then use, frankly, the higher risk people to calculate their prices for us. So we're basically paying twice for the highest user history, in essence what it got down to. We did explore that last time. We still can explore it again. I mean, we do each time try to see what works. I mean, we also can even discuss the concept of self-insurance. It's a concept to discuss. I mean, we are looking at our options. We have to do what we do to, frankly, keep it affordable, but to keep quality care for all of you.
Thanks, Ron.
The PT profile. Can you talk about the PT profile? Some concerns about that, and if you would just address that.
Yeah, I'm going to let Colonel Dale do take the lion's share of the answer, but I feel we're not looking to hurt people. We're not. Hey, Oz, how you doing, buddy? We're not looking to terminate people. We're not looking to make this so hard. I plan on taking the test myself, and I plan on passing the test. And I'm 58 years old. That being said, I do think it's my obligation to make sure that people, I understand you come on at 21 and you don't have the same, you're not who you are at 21 as you are at 31, 41, 51, and 61. We understand that. But we also know that bad guys don't care how old we are. Bad guys take guns from us. Bad guys kill our partners. And we've all been to too many cop funerals and deputy funerals. We've all buried too many of our brothers and sisters, and we don't want that to happen either. So we're looking at bringing in some kind of physical profile that with coaching that'll allow men and women to maybe get back into the gym, to train a little bit, and that if they're called upon you to back up that, to back you up, or you're called upon to back up the folks that your fellow brothers and sister deputies, that you have a chance to survive and a chance to succeed. So we are looking at that. Colonel, you want to talk about?
As the sheriff mentioned, the purpose of the study at this point is to bring in a group that will do a job task analysis, and it's really to look at what are the essential functions of, or the physical functions of the job. And based on that, they can put together a test that would measure the minimum standards necessary to perform the job. Does it mean that you have to be in the shape that you were when you went to the academy? No, it just means that you have to minimally be able to perform the functions of a law enforcement job. You can't hold any standard if you don't have some basis to test against. So it may be that you're running around a track arbitrarily a half mile in 10 minutes. I don't know what that amount is, but somewhere between a very low standard and some standard, there's the mark that'll be gained by having them complete the study. There are, I think, was 4 or 7 other agencies in the state of Florida that currently have a standard. It's something that nothing's been decided. There's nothing been set in stone. It's something that will, when we sit down, the union will be heavily involved in it. It's not something that we're looking to impose arbitrarily. You'll see the approach to implementing it was coined the bend over backward approach. That would be exactly it. We're not looking to terminate people because they're not in shape. We're looking to bring everybody into better shape so that they're safer, that they can back others up, and that they can go home safe each night. And that's the purpose of the exercise.
And I think the operative phrase that Colonel Dale used is the union will be heavily involved in all, once we know where we're going or we have a direction, we'll be speaking with Jeff and Lee and Debbie, and we'll be working this together.
The off-duty detail at Port Everglades, in order to access and beyond the detail, which you've expanded tremendously, you have to attend a class, and sometimes, from what we understand, is the class is restricted as far as who gets picked and chosen to attend the class. Can you address that, where the class seems difficult to access?
Yeah, I think I don't want to use numbers, so I won't, because then somebody will review it and say it's not that, it's not 47%, it's 52%. So let me say this: the number of men and women on this agency, sworn deputies, that could work the detail now compared to the day I became sheriff, there's an astronomical difference. So many more people are able to do it. And that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to open it up to everyone. Just because you work at the port, I mean, yes, okay, you work at the port, and we appreciate that, but that doesn't mean you should have a monopoly. The detail, it's a detail that enriches the lives of many deputies, and everybody should have the ability to tap into it to some degree. I'm being told, and sometimes the message doesn't get to me the right way, but I'm being told that the classes are given often, and that anybody who wants to go to the class can take the class if they tweak or massage their schedule a little bit. So if that's not the case, then I need to know about that, and then we can look at how to make changes. But I've been told that the classes are disseminated very fairly, and we want everybody to have an opportunity to work the port.
I think we discussed something that came up in Oakland Park, as far as I think I brought that to you right away after I found out about it, as far as people being TDY to CST and not being compensated, and also for less than a better terminology, power track was alive and well in Oakland Park.
Yeah. Let me address, what was the first one? The
people were being TDY to CST and not being compensated.
Well, we have a lieutenant from Oakland Park here today, so I think rather than me even give you my answer, it's probably Brad and I have not had any conversation. I don't know what Brad's going to say on this. So Brad, why don't you answer both those questions?
We run a mentorship program for both criminal investigations and the crime suppression team. That means that every 90 days, deputies who are not a part of those units, who would like to train to be part of those units one day and have that on their resume, get to mentor in those units for a 90-day period. They're not given a stipend because they're not permanently assigned. We have so many, by contract, so many slots for each unit. And those people get stipends. The mentorship people, because it's a temporary assignment, do not. As far as conducting any type of power track, it doesn't occur. We're now testing a system for the sheriff's office called Crime View, which allows you to analyze your crimes very quickly, and we ask the deputies and the sergeants, look, we're having a problem with car burglaries and 1204 zone. Can you pay some extra attention to it? Really, that's the extent of it. So anyone who's got an issue with that, or either of those two issues, can always talk to me. My phone's always on, my door's always open, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Did that get it?
Excellent. You know, as a Fort Lauderdale, former Fort Lauderdale captain, I was privy to come to 2 power tracks. And power track was a deplorable, browbeating exercise in which the scope of it was to humiliate people and what have you. We don't need power track under this leadership. We got something that does power track. It's called sergeants. And they need to be out there doing their job. And if your sergeant who runs this agency is doing his job and knows where he knows what his crime trends are, he knows where his violent crime is, and he knows what he needs to do. So as long as we got good sergeants working hard and lieutenants like Brad and captains like we have all over this agency, like Neil Glassman and Briggs and Doc, as long as we got those kind of captains and the leadership we have, we don't need power track. We're not going back to power track. We've already reduced violent crime 14%, which is one of the highest in the states. Thanks to you all. You're keeping you're keeping the kids out of jail. The civil citation program is complete. The compliance is amazing. When I became sheriff, our attendance at mandatory training was an abysmal 50%, 49%. It's now up around 98% because of you all taking it seriously and making sure your deputies are in training that they need to survive on the streets and learn and how, so they're not going to make mistakes. So we don't need power track, and we're never going back that way.
What's your position on bringing deputies back after they retire, and what pay scale would he or she be brought back at if you did? And would they be going to specialized units or road patrol?
It's on a case-by-case basis. You know, some people leave and you wish them well, and quite frankly, you have no reason to bring them back onto the agency. You know, they're now you're looking to go in a different direction. Other deputies might be retired, and you might like talk to them and find any way in the world not to let them leave. You wish they didn't have to leave. But if they stay out, I know there's rules when you retire as a deputy. I think the FRS mandates you to, so approximately 1 year you have to stay out, and depending on if Sergeant Leif retired and I wanted him back as a captain and he stayed out a year and there was a silo in this agency that fit him, I may offer him that position. I know I can't bring him back as a, you know, you can't bring somebody back as a sergeant or lieutenant because the contract, which is right. So, but if I wanted to bring him back as a deputy or a civilian or a captain or whatever, so it depends on that individual. The pay scale would be on how you bring him back at. I'm looking for the best. You know, I'm looking for the best. You know, in the perfect world, the people you'd like to bring back would all wear green. But if there's somebody from another agency, a federal agency, a state agency, a local agency, that's going to be a phenomenal leader. You all want to work for great leaders. You know, you don't care where they came from. You just want to work for great leaders who are going to respect you, train you the proper way, and you know, and treat you fairly. And that's what you're looking for. And if I recognize a great leader, I'll try and get him or her back.
Anybody else have any questions from the floor? Go ahead, Vince.
Sheriff, as you very well know, there's going to be a lot of people leaving, and I'm one of them in the next 2 or 3 years through drop time ending. Part of always been my big drive is how is HR going about on recruiting, and I'm sure you've thought about the huge numbers that you're going to be losing over the next 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, are you looking at out-of-state recruitment? You know, I mean, that's a reality. We're going to lose a lot of people.
Well, the question was, for the camera, they wanted me to repeat the question. The question was, we anticipate losing quite a few deputies over the next 2, 3 years, and what's the plan? How are we going to recruit? Well, it starts off with the people I've brought into these places, and you couldn't have a better person running HR than Chad Wagner. I mean, this is a guy of honor, integrity, came from the Hollywood Police Department, former police chief. So you have an incredibly talented man running that with a vision. The answer is all of the above. We'll definitely be recruiting. We'll definitely be recruiting some college kids from this area and sending them to sponsoring through the academy, having the majors interview them, and if we like what we see, we'll hire them. We're going to use our reserve program as a feeder ground. We're certainly going to be recruiting out of in-state, you know, but our best recruiting, what's the best advertisement in the world? People spend, companies spend millions and billions of dollars on advertisement. But yesterday, and tomorrow, the best advertising will always be word of mouth. So you're hoping our deputies, we're hoping people like you go over to that 23-year-old man or woman who's going to start their career, or people that are looking for jobs, and tell them, hey man, BSO, it's a great place to work. So we'll be okay though. And we plan on, there's a phenomenal deputy here tonight who did a 29-year tour of duty with BSO, Deputy Richard Williams, and now he's back for his second tour of duty. So we're okay with doing that too. I think to have the best team, I don't think you want to have all of anything. I think you want that, that diversity. Some guys have been and gals have been here, and some have been the federal system, and I think, the idea is to get talented people.
With the opening of the courthouse, we've got some information that the judges now want an armed deputy in each courtroom. So that's another challenge to piggyback on Vince's question. What do you think that impact is going to? I mean, obviously it's going to have an impact, but is that going to be? Have you all done any kind of assessment so far?
We have. We're right in the middle. Colonel, you want to jump on that?
Yeah, actually, because it's the courthouse, it's a county project. So like anything else with the county, there's a negotiation, just like we go through with our budget every year. So we have a number that we think is going to be safe for that courthouse. It's a lot bigger. They have a number in their mind which is going to save the most money. Obviously, those two don't mesh. So for months now, we've been meeting with the county. At the end of the day, it's just like the budget, like the sheriff always says. You decide if your kid's going to win an argument with you. At the end of the day, they're going to tell us how much money they're giving us, and that's going to be what we have to work with. Now, if we can only staff 4 floors, that's going to be the case. I mean, the judges are on our side, but the county is the county, and they're going to decide what that budget is. So that number has not been decided. We have all our ducks in a row. We have all the studies from the marshals. We've looked at Palm Beach. We've looked at Orange County. We know how they do things. Palm Beach has an armed deputy in every courtroom. So we know what we would like to do to see it safe. The challenge is convincing them of that, because the way we've been doing it now is not necessarily the best way, but they're looking at like, well, you've had it that number of years and you haven't had a problem. Why don't we just keep doing it that way? Whereas law enforcement, we all look at it like, the problem's coming. Why don't we take the national model and the national standards and staff it safely and appropriately now, while we have a chance with a new courthouse? So at the end of the day, they don't like our number, we don't like their number, and hopefully we meet somewhere in the middle that's going to keep our people safe.
Thank you, Colonel. You know, we hold each other accountable. You know, I hold deputies accountable, colonels accountable. If they do a great job, you know, we reward them, we write them commendations, and we give them lateral transfers and things like that they want to go, or promotions. And if they don't do a good job, we hold them accountable. We will review their behavior. We might discipline them. We might, you know, positively train them, what have you. You hold me accountable. If after 4 years, you know, you think that I did a good job as a sheriff, you're going to vote for me and tell your families to vote for me. If you don't think I did a good job, you're going to go in a different direction. Well, I say this to you: hold the county commissioners and elected officials accountable for what they do and the way they vote. The PBA, you know, don't kid yourselves. This is a very powerful political arm in Broward County, and a very respected political arm. And everybody's always competing for your endorsement. But don't let you know, the elected officials and commissioners who decide our budget, don't let them go out there and tell you that my job is, I'm a 10th commissioner, and that my job as a 10th commissioner is to save money and to be fiscally responsible. Fiscally responsible, yes. And if anybody wants to know every penny I spent since I've been sheriff, you have every right to know about that. But do not tell me my job is to save money. My job is to save lives. My job is to give you the equipment, the tools, and technology you need to save lives. So my job is not like theirs. It's a different job. No better, no worse, but it's a different job. And my job is not to save money. So if you endorse a candidate, and then you see that they go in and they tear apart this budget, and they make statements like, I should withhold your raises and your step increases, hold them accountable. Like I would hold you accountable, or you would hold me accountable. You follow me?
You know, on that note, with the cities where the BSO provides law enforcement services in those different cities, when we do screen them, that's the first question we ask. Is that, are you supporting BSO in your city? And that's, if you don't, then we don't even go on to question number 2. And before Debbie and Pat were able to defeat the Pompano going back to their own police department, along with all of the reps that showed up, we had a great turnout that day and walked the neighborhoods. And Richie Passanti was in the paper, working the neighborhood. It was really a lot of community involvement. But Lee has taken over for Pompano. He attended just about every function that they had there. We've even expanded to Tamarack, Dania, where we're more involved in politics. But as a reflection to the men and women that are working in those cities as well as to you, it's not even a question anymore. And I can tell you also, when we screen the county commissioners, we talk about the budget, and we talk about how important it is to fund that and to keep the morale high and keep that product going. So I want you to know that we're working on our side in order to facilitate that, for the men and women that we represent, as well as your organization. Bob?
I'm part of the training committee for North Lauderdale, and we go downtown to these quarterly meetings on how to do training in the future, how to save money, et cetera, et cetera. I made a suggestion. I haven't received an answer as of yet. We have 150 CST members, SWAT members, K-9 members, who are all constantly doing quarterly training in our individual divisions. I suggested that we could save 200, 300, 400 slots. I don't know what the exact number is for the in-service people. I mean, I went to in-service last week, did the same thing we did 2 weeks prior in CST training. So I think the agency could save that many slots that they maybe could expand on the training if you didn't have that 200 or 300 people in there. CST, we shoot, we do buildings, we do traffic stops, we do everything you would do in service training. I was wondering your opinion about that. Save you a couple of hundred.
Well, obviously I'm interested. It's the first I'm hearing of it, but I'll tell you this, Colonel Dale's here tonight, and I can tell you, Colonel Dale, at my request, will set up a meeting, not a conversation, not a telephone, but a meeting where you could come and you can meet with Major Schultz from the training division and impart your views, and maybe your views will be brought to fruition. Maybe there's a reason that they can, but it's certainly, when you say there's a way to save a couple $100,000, it's obligatory on my part to look into it. So, Colonel, could you set up a meeting with the sergeant and Major, bring, have all your ducks in a row, and maybe we'll be giving you accommodation later on for saving all that money. No, I know you. I'm joking with you, but let's go down that road. Certainly something we need to explore. Of course, yes.
Sheriff, I have a question for the deputy that could not be here tonight. His question is, on the existing list, are you going to promote or wait until the new test next year?
What list are we talking about?
We have the sergeant's list, I'm sorry, sir, the sergeant's list. Are you going to promote any more, or this is the end of it and you're going to go with the new test?
Are there any openings? I don't even know that there are openings.
Scott's got to repeat the question.
The question was, there's a sergeant's list in effect right now, and I think the sergeant's test is coming up in a few weeks, if I'm not mistaken. January? Okay, so you would figure the list will be coming out the end of January, right around Super Bowl Sunday, right, Lee? And the question was, will I promote off that list? Right now, I don't even know. Right now, I would say the answer would be no, because I don't know that there's an opening off that list.
Well, that was my question. That's what he was concerned
Yeah.
about, if you were going to take off that list or not.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Sir, with all the hiring in the last couple of years, with a lot of people from prior agencies with years of experience, is there going to be a possibility of a promotion happening, or the gap for sergeant is at 5 years now, with dealing with BSO? Is there any chance of that happening?
I'm not really sure I follow.
I got it. Can we take into consideration that an officer came over from another agency and he or she doesn't have to wait the 5 years? We could take into consideration their prior police experience. 2 years.
I think it's 2 years.
I'm sorry, 2 years. but we could take into consideration their prior police experience.
Most years, that's 5 years.
Say again?
5 years.
So basically, you're telling me that right now the contract reads that you need 5 years in law enforcement to, why don't you tell me what?
With the agency, sir, the posting that was listed on the informant says 5 years on it. That's the most recent.
That you need total law enforcement?
You need 5 years with DOE and DSO to test for sergeant. That's what the posting.
Okay, and your question is, since we've had other people come over from other agencies with quite a bit of experience, perhaps we could relax that 5 years and make it maybe 5 years in total law enforcement. Is that your question?
Yes, sir. Or any, yeah.
Certainly something that Jeff and myself and the undersheriff need to discuss. I'm absolutely open to that. I think that's a very reasonable request and something we need to look into. Lieutenant.
I have a quick question, please, in regards to the use of donated time. If an employee has a catastrophic illness and they exhaust all their time currently, if someone wants to donate their time, the only thing they can donate is their holiday time. Would there be somewhere where there could be some consideration for them to use their sick time to donate to someone that has a catastrophic illness, particularly people that are way over the cap, that they would not use the time anymore?
She's asked me to repeat the question. So the question, as I understand it, is, Lieutenant, is you're saying that right now, if a person has a catastrophic illness, one of our brother or sister family members, and we want to donate time to them, we can only donate holiday time to them.
Holiday time or vacation time, and yet some of the same employees that would like to donate have an excess amount of sick time that they haven't used, some well over, hundreds and hundreds of hours, but they're not allowed to donate that time currently. Can you consider that?
Absolutely. I mean,
use that sick time.
Definitely something to consider. I learned before you say anything, you want to talk to legal and you want to make sure what the total effect of the agency is, but it's something I'd absolutely look into, and it's a sick day is a sick day, and if you're willing to give it up so somebody else could get some money while they're sick, it's something absolutely we need to consider.
I'm just writing notes.
Sure. Is body cams ever going to be an issue? I know that's a hot subject with Jeff.
It is a hot subject. It's worldwide, actually. It's a worldwide subject. Jeff and I and Lee have had some initial discussions. There's a plethora of issues out there. It's not so simple as the public might think. We're just going to strap on body cams. There's policies, there's technology, and a lot of times, and I've said this to Jeff quite a bit, a lot of times, technology is way ahead of our policies and our contracts and things like that. But I think body cams need to be looked at. We are looking at it as a staff and an agency. We're not going to do anything without discussions with the PBA. We can't say that, we can maybe disagree on an issue, Vince, you know that, and I may decide to go ahead forward in an area or not. But right now, this is premature, and I know you're going to get a million calls on this, but you know what? You got to be honest with the foot. It's an issue. Right now, I think what I want to do is I want to start a pilot program, a small program on a volunteer basis. Probably, and I reserve the right to change my mind on, on how we're doing it. This is a question. I'm answering the question, but maybe I might take some poetic license on it. But right now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do a pilot program with policies and procedures in place, agreed upon by myself and the PBA. I like it to be on a volunteer basis. Cost is an absolute factor, and we don't need to get into cost right now. But it's the reviewing and the saving and there's a whole bunch of things. But to answer your question, it is something that's on my radar.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah, I just want to finish it a very heartfelt and simple way. The holiday season is upon us. And Lieutenant, you brought up time, and I urge you to take some of that vacation time. Have a happy Thanksgiving, whatever you celebrate, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever it is. I hope you have a phenomenal winter season with your families, a happy and healthy new year, a prosperous new year. These jobs, these great jobs that you all come to every work, and you do such a great job for us and for the county. I really believe that my message to everybody at this time would be, these jobs should never go, in my opinion, higher than third on your list. They should be third, fourth, or down from there. I urge you to keep your family second, because when these jobs are over, the only thing we have in life are our families, and keep God first. And God bless you all. Godspeed to all of you, and may every shift be a safe one. Thank you.